Getting to be that time of year again, eh? Hi, and welcome back to another random episode of Smoking Gears Garage. Today we're going to get the 78 Chevy out for the first time this year, go for a drive, and I'll share some getting your cars out tips in the springtime. We get two good examples. We got a carbureted example and a fuel injected example. For anybody out there that's getting started, knowing what to do, hopefully this will help you out, and we'll go for a little drive. It's been a while. It's been a long winter. One good thing to do when you're putting these away for the winter or storing them for any long period of time, as the vehicles sit, it's a good chance you might get some critters in there, usually mice. And if you got live power running through the vehicle, it's a good chance you could chew up something, short it out. And especially if it's stored, you're not really keeping an eye on it, you just don't want live power running through it, period. Also, if you got a vehicle, anything newer with the radio in it, it'll just draw that battery down over time and you'll lose battery power. And if that happens and it gets good and cold out, chances are you could probably freeze the battery, destroying it. You really don't want that. These are expensive nowadays, as well as anything else. And if you happen to see this video, hit the subscribe button, like, comment. It's pretty much the cheapest thing you could do nowadays. Battery's all hooked up. Sure, check fluids. That'll fly, Orville. Full. Also, not a bad idea to give these a check right away. If you got a leaky wheel cylinder, she could drain down over winter. Ain't sitting too bad there. Now with a carbureted vehicle, let's bump the gas pedal. Pumps a little bit of gas into the intake to get her fired up. Let the fuel pump and whatnot take over. So, here we go. Along with it being a carbureted engine, what happens right after you start it, if this feature's working, is a choke will kick in, causing the RPMs to go up like it's doing right now. Today's about 62 degrees out, so you should only have to let it run for maybe a minute or two, then you can bump that throttle down. And what to do to bump her down after it's been idling for a little bit. And on colder days, if it's down in the 30s or 40s or even in the 50s, you can let her warm up for maybe 3-4 minutes on a high idle, then bump her back down. And by bumping her back down, it's pretty simple. You just give it one good, quick stab of the throttle and she comes right back down to idle. And then upon first startup of the year, let them sit outside and run for maybe 10-15 minutes. Check your transmission oil. Some transmissions have the tendency for the torque converters to kind of drain down and leak that fluid out of the back of the tail shaft housing, which I don't seem to have a problem with that one. Those are just engine oil leaks, but no leaks there, but we'll check it anyway. Also check your tire pressures, especially on aluminum wheels. With temperature changes, they can go down. And another good tip when you store your car, maybe like a week or two before you actually get it out, if you have it covered. I've had this one uncovered now for probably 2 weeks. Take the cover off. That way, if you got a severe temperature swing, like we do up here in the Midwest, the whole car can kind of gradually warm up so you don't get that sudden burst of heat, and the whole thing will sweat, full of condensation, and that means your electronics and your brake parts and all that stuff gets immediately wet, which could do some damage. I actually made a big mistake one year with this car. The whole thing was completely covered in condensation, and I hooked the battery up, and the radio, the gauge cluster just started doing all kinds of wacky stuff. I got lucky and I just let it run. I turned the heater on, everything dried out, and I never had a problem. Then again, extremely lucky. So if you got a car that's soaked in condensation, do not hook the battery up. And another good thing to look for as it's been sitting is to check for any mouse nests, especially around the exhaust or intake, you know, so you don't start it on fire. That wouldn't be good. Check the battery pulls too, make sure they're good and clean. Check fluids. These are already checked. So we'll hook this battery up. I think that's a 10 millimeter. Bet you ain't gonna find it. I'll start the fuel injected vehicle for the first time after a while. Pretty much just put the key in and start it. What I like to do usually, if they've been sitting for a little while, is maybe cycle the key a few times, get that fuel system primed. Something like this with low miles on it, you wouldn't really have an issue with fuel bleed off, but some older ones might. Then you just get that faster, quicker start up after a long period of sitting. Another good little tip too when you're storing your vehicle, I like to use dryer sheets. Put them in there, in your glove box, trunk, even under the hood. I even use mothballs underneath the hood. What that basically does, it kind of repels the mice. They'll smell this odd smell, then they don't like going in there as much. Some people argue that it doesn't really work, but I've had good luck. And I got critter control in this garage, so it kind of helps the situation there, but they definitely do work. And there's other things you can get too. I know there's like little bags of some kind of smeller stuff that repels mice, but these at least smell good. You don't want to put the mothballs inside because it'll smell like mothballs forever. Alright, well, the old Chevy's been warming up now for about 10 minutes. I checked the transmission oil, checked the tires. Everything seems to be fine, so let's go for a little cruise. Another thing to be mindful of when you first get these old vehicles out for the years, the brakes might be kind of grabby. So just kind of ease into them as you're first driving it so you don't have a lockup. I mean, yeah, I know sometimes that can be fun, but you know, you don't really want to abuse these old things if you don't have to. You know, it's just good practice. The old gauges are reading good, so that's good. Also, when you first get these things out, you just want to take it easy on them for a little while. Let the seals get soaked up again, let some heat get back into the motor before you really start feeding the coals to it. I know it's exciting, you first had her out and you're all revved up to just give her all kinds of hell, but just take it easy. There's no rush, you got all summer, it's fine. another tip. This is completely up to you, but this is what I do when I put them away for the winter, or put them into any kind of long-term storage. I know it's expensive, but fill them up with gas. Especially if you got a metal tank. This truck's got a metal tank. The GT Slow's got a plastic one, but I like to fill them up. You never know, gas might be more expensive come spring or when you want to drive them. So this gets 10 miles to the gallon, so I got some cheap gas in there last fall. But I always fill them up. Then you ain't got a situation of like a flash rusting scenario inside the tank if you got bare metal exposed. And I fill them up, non-ethanol gas. Sometimes it's usually got to run the 91 or 93, but around here you can actually get 87 octane with no ethanol. You fill them up, and I put your recommended amount of seafoam in it. Some people swear that gas preservatives do nothing. I'm a firm believer in it. Like as I said before, I put that stuff in everything that I store, and I don't ever have an issue with the carburetor or anything at all. Everything always runs great. In the spring when you want to get them out and running again, I put it in the snowmobiles, weed eater, lawnmower, tractors we got in the cars, boat, and everything always turns out good. Done with your first drive, get back, open up the hood, look underneath, check for any kind of leaks. Stuff likes to sneak up on you over winter. I'm full of tips today. If you have any other questions, little things to do if you have an old car or just getting started, feel free to comment. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. And one thing you probably will notice in the video, I do have a bit of a lifter noise in this thing. So in the future, probably just do a cam swap in it with new lifters and whatnot. I don't know if I should go up on cam size. It ain't a performance vehicle. I don't really tow much with it. As far as fuel mileage goes, well, it gets none. So any suggestions out there for a good mild cam, just to maybe give her a few extra HPs, let me know down there in the comments. What's a good brand? You know, something, a good brand for a good price. Maybe give her just a little bit of a lopey sound to it. Like I said, nothing crazy. Well, now that I'm in the mood, I don't really plan on featuring this car too much. There's really nothing much special about it. It's just a stock summer daily driver. But she's pretty good at ripping them. Yeah, I know. It's got the slush-o-matic.
You know, it ain't how you stand next to your car. It's how you race your car. You gotta learn that.
I'm not obeying that don't beat them when you get them out of the garage for the first time in the spring rule. I can't help myself. It's been too long. Well, didn't need no basketball hoop to do that burnout. As always, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Stay tuned. And we'll see you later.